my awful wife.
You're always too dull. Troy and Catherine, my husband and sister-in-law, are always verbally abusing me.
Gal, leave this house? You wife who doesn't even do her house chores, it.
Jennifer, my mother-in-law, said she randomly grabbed salt and spilled it on me. Because of this, my whole clothes were wet with salt, and some of it went into my mouth, which was very salty.
Here you go. Here is the divorce papers.
It seemed like Troy, Jennifer, and Catherine has prepared the divorce paper in advance. I took the divorce papers, filled them in, and packed up my things.
Well, this is it. You all should be thanking me for of you all.
My name is Cynthia. I am a 30 years office worker. I have been married to Troy for 2 years. We met on a blind date, and I was an employee working for a small company. At the blind date, Troy was the one interested in me and made his moves. Since he seemed sincere in his work, worked diligently at his company, and was 2 years younger than me, I pictured a stable life with him. Because I could picture myself being happy with him, I decided to go on dates to get to know him better. He was very kind and was such a gent, always took me out on dates, which became more and more attracted to him. Not only did we start dating, but we became serious in our relationship and decided to get married. Even after we got married, we shared household chores and happily balanced our work life at home. Even after being married for 2 years, our happiness had only grown stronger. But then, one day, Troy just quit his job.
Why did you quit your workplace so suddenly?
Because I realized that I am not a worker material.
With that kind of reason?
What do you mean with that kind of one, Cynthia? I thought you were on my the time.
That's not what I meant. Of course, honey, I'm always on your side. I just wanted you to discuss these matters with me before you make any decisions.
Oh, my bad. But I just wanted to quit right away.
Troy said this as he was scratching. I was very much surprised because idea that my husband hated his job to quit right away so suddenly. For now, it's okay with Troy quitting his job because I make a good amount of money from my work, but I would like him to find his next job as soon as possible. But then, 2 weeks later, my husband made a surprising statement.
Hey, Cynthia, I'm going to start a place.
What? Are you being serious right now, Troy?
The Bob tea price is cheap, so you can do it with a small group of friends.
Oh, no. Have you ever worked in a food industry before? Like a cafe or restaurant, even a cafeteria?
No, I have never worked in the food service industry.
Then I don't think it's a good idea to open a place. Because I do and believe you will be successful and want to make profits.
Why are you saying such thing? Don't make any assumptions before I try.
Well, I can understand why you would want your own cafe or restaurant, or Bob shop if you've ever worked in the food service industry before, but opening a Bob tea place out of nowhere doesn't sound like such a good idea.
I don't care what you say, Cynthia. Opening my Bob tea place is a great idea. I don't like the idea of working for else, so I'll be the boss of my own place.
My husband, without listening to me, proceeded to prepare to open a Bob tea place on his own. I told Troy that I wouldn't let Cooper take over his Bob tea place. He should do it on his own. But to my surprise, he decided to go ahead with the concept of a Bob tea place and prepare to open his own Bob tea place. As I watched Troy's Bob tea place take shape, I decided that if he was doing well, I would see how the place goes. Then my husband really opened up a whole new world all on his own. The Bob tea place has a nice atmosphere. The location is not that bad. For a moment, I thought Troy's Bob place could really be a thriving business. However, in reality, the idea of a Hey Bob tea place is not that easy. The trend of drinking Bob tea has been replaced by Match. The few customers who came to buy tea drinks were the core fans who loved tea, regardless of the trend, but that's only a few. Moreover, my husband, who was not experienced in restaurant or cafe, was very meticulous in making his Bob tea drinks. So by the time Troy serves his Bob, since he takes time to make it, the drink will have melted, which makes teas taste very watery. Because of that, Troy has no regular customers who would come back. To drink tea again has no buzz and has no allure. Well, it's said in the food service industry that one should be prepared to make a loss for the first year. Maybe this was inevitable, but it was obvious that Troy's Bob tea place would go out of business if it continued this way. So I advised my husband to get up early and close his Bob tea place. Then my husband says,
I just started this Bob tea place, and I'm not going to quit anything in an angry manner. Why would you say such thing to Denmy Cynthia? He said this to me in accusing manner.
when Troy is in this mood, he would change his mind and he would just abuse me, but I couldn't cave into.
If we don't do something, we'll lose more and more money, but our debts will also increase. By now, don't you realize it's risky to open a Bob tea place without any prior experience? I think you worked enough at your BC place to learn that lesson. If you want to succeed in the food industry, why not start with some experience in a restaurant or catering business before opening your own place?
I tried my best to convince him and explain my point of view, but he wouldn't even listen to me and understand where I was coming from. I thought I had to do something or to bring him back to his senses, but made another startling comment.
Let's live with my mom.
Why are you saying this?
Because if we move into my parents', the rent will be free. Then there will be no problem, even income is small. Besides, Mom has been on her own since Dad passed away. I'm thinking of moving in with her to take care of her.
But to be honest, I was not very keen on the idea of moving in with Jennifer, my mother-in-law, because Jennifer was very cold and meek. I have been to Jennifer's house for holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas, but every time I visit her, she acts as if she hates me. Well, I haven't been severely mistreated as Troy's wife, but I knew that it would be a lot of trouble if I started living like Jennifer. However, Troy showed no signs of the idea of not living with Jennifer. Besides, if my husband really decides to continue running his Bob tea place, he won't be making any income soon, and we won't be able to afford our living expenses. Thinking money-wise, it would not be ideal to live with Jennifer. When I compared the pros and cons of the situation, I thought there were more pros than cons. So I caved in and agreed to live with Jennifer for now. And so, life of living with Jennifer. I was immediately faced with Jennifer's bullying.
Cynthia, stop standing around doing nothing. Get on with the cleaning, laundry, and cooking. You are such a slow poke. You're the wife of the owner of a Bob place, so you better get your act together.
Jennifer's angry voice suddenly echoed through the house. I didn't think I would get yelled at very first day of living together. I was already feeling not good about situation and had only bad feelings living with Jennifer. Troy was just looking unconcerned or oblivious about this situation, even though it was very obvious that I needed help and support from him. And there was one more person who annoyed me at Jennifer's house. It was Catherine, my sister-in-law. After I moved into Jennifer's house, Catherine got divorced from her husband and started living with Jeremy with her child Elizabeth. Therefore, we were not only living with Jennifer, but also with Catherine and Elizabeth.
Why isn't there an ice cream freezer?
Oh. That's because your daughter at yesterday, didn't she?
I'm not asking you to do that. Get the hell out of here. I'm saying that you should go get more cream when you know that there isn't any in the fridge. You're a really inconsiderate wife.
Catherine and Jennifer both complained about anything they did with me. My husband is still the same, ignoring Catherine's, picking on me, and being unconcerned about Troy's feelings. He should be worried and should take me because it was his idea to live Jennifer. So I would glare at him coldly. But my husband was relaxing on the paying attention to his phone and attention to me. Within a few days of moving into our new home, frustration was already nearing its limit. And I learned later that Jennifer had a 35-year mortgage and she had to make $1,000 in loan payments every month. Yet neither Jennifer nor Catherine do anything. They are currently paying their loan mortgage from their father-in-law's inheritance and pension, which they received after he passed away a few years ago. If Jennifer were living alone, she could manage to pay the loan. But since Catherine and Elizabeth are living with her, paying off her payments has become more difficult.
Therefore, Jennifer said, if you're going to live with me, you need to clean up after yourself.
I agreed to Troy about moving into house because he said there would rent. But since we have to pay, the feel pointless to live with Jennifer.
Furthermore, Jennifer demanded, I to pay for our living. Expenses as a six, you have to put in about $2,000 per.
In the end, I had to pay Jennifer a month from my salary.
It was because my husband told me, feeling that sales are about to increase soon.
According to my husband, the number of customers are increasing at his shop. I thought that once his Bob Tea place was on track, we would be able to make a living, so I decided to be more patient. So for the upcoming 3 months, I will be patiently waiting for my turn to come. In the meantime, Jennifer and Cather continued picking on me and being mean. Since I was about to reach my limit, I decided to sneak out and visit my husband's Bob Tea place unannounced. But to my surprise, there were no cool there. I watched his Bob Tea place from afar for a while, but there was no sign of any customers at all. Maybe my husband was lying. That thought crossed my mind. At the same time, at my workplace, succeeded on my project and was promotion. After getting my promotion, I was put in charge of a joint project with a new client. Since it's a new project with a different company, and I was in charge of this, I had a lot to do for my work. Working overtime became normal, and there were times when I had to come in very early or stay late for work. This meant that I had less and less do household chores. If possible, I wanted Jennifer and who are always at home to do the chores, but they stubbornly refused.
Household chores are for the wife.
By saying that, both Jennifer and she refused to do any of the household and just left it to me to do them. So when I couldn't do household chores because of the new project I was in charge of, the laundry piled up, the dishes were covered with dust, and it became a mess. Moreover, I have to also prepare dinner for them, and on days when I have to work, Jennifer, Catherine, and Troy would have expensive food delivered to their homes, even though I'm not able to do the chores because of my work. Jennifer Catherine just blames me for it. Recently, not only Jennifer and Catherine, but even my husband blames me.
You're always too dull.
My husband and my sister-in-law are verbally abusing me.
Get out of this house, you lazy wife.
Who doesn't even do her household chores?
Then Jennifer said this and random salt and spilled it all over me. Because of this, my whole clothes, 6 covered with salt, and some of it was 6 mouth, which was very salty. This is way out of hand, and this is too horrible. I have tried my best to do the house my own way, and I have contributed other ways, such as putting in money living expenses. And yet, I get such treatment like,
You're the one who feeds off of other people's earnings and all you do is act arrogantly.
Yeah, that's right.
I really do know what you're doing, household chore. When you're earning such a small amount from your job, you're probably saying you're working overtime to cover up the affair you're having behind Troy's back, aren't you?
Cynthia, you're having an affair while I'm working hard to run my Bob Tea store? I should get alimony for this.
my in laws continued to insinuate that I was having an affair with a man behind Troy's back. Then, Jennifer took out some papers drawer and handed it to me.
Here are the divorce papers.
When I saw the papers, I saw Troy's handwriting and his signature. It seems like Troy, Jennifer, and Kat has prepared the divorce paper in act. I couldn't take it anymore. Why am I the one who is working the being pushed around so much? I am getting the hell out of this house. I took the divorce papers, filled them out, and packed up my belongings. As I walked to the front door with my belongings, my in-laws saw me off with sadness on their faces.
Now, what a relief.
We finally got rid of the trouble house.
You deserve to live a lonely life, Owen.
How could they be so horrible? I regret the fact that I worked so make the livings for these people. I didn't want to leave without saying anything back to them. I told my in-laws in such a mean way.
I know you guys will be in trouble when I'm gone. I wish you all the best.
When I said that, the in-laws looked at me with wide eyes and made a fuss. But they left their house. I then immediately submitted the D papers, rented an apartment for myself, and began to live alone in comfort. Why didn't I do this earlier? I should have left that house right. Regretting my slow decision, I still enjoy a peaceful and tranquil life in the countryside. Incidentally, for some reason, Jen was now my ex-mother-in-law. Kept Kaylee a lot after I left the house. Either she hadn't abused me enough yet, or she had found out the truth about her husband's earnings. I never bothered to find out why. I decided not to answer Jennifer's calls, thinking that if I continued with her, I would probably only get trouble. I went on with my life, and a year in the blink of an eye. Then I received a call from an unknown number. At first, I thought it would be best answer, but then I thought it might come from a business partner or a business-related call. With that thought in mind, I hurriedly answered the phone. Then, to my surprise, it was my mother-in-law's voice coming through the phone.
Cynthia, finally you picked up the phone. You blocked my previous number, did you?
Of course, I would block her number. I've been getting so many unwanted calls.
What do you want?
I was too tired to deal with every comment she makes. So I decided to get to the point quickly.
Okay, I'll just say it straight up. I'm going to be direct, without get too much detail. I want you to come back to us.
What are you talking about?
Please, we are really in deep trouble. Troy told me later that his Bob Tea had hardly made any profit after all. The expenses he had to pay for the store's rent and other expenses. That's when I first found out and learned that Cynthia, you had been putting so much into our house and helping out with our expenses.
I'm glad you finally realized this.
I wish you had told me this from the beginning.
Are you sure you should be talking to me right now? I'm the only one you can rely on, ain't I?
I apologize. I take that back. I am begging you. I won't be mean to you anymore. So please come back to our home and family.
Even over the phone, I could tell that Jennifer was very serious about her work. It's certainly impossible for Jen to have two big kids at her house, jobbing away to pay a 35-year mortgage all on her own. But then Jennifer has been too mean to me to be nice to her.
I'm sorry, but I will never forgive. There is no way we will ever get back together. If you can't pay the mortgage, why sell the house? Well, Troy's been running a deficit for quite some time now, so his debts are substantial. If you added all of those debts together, it wouldn't be enough to just sell your house.
That's not why I'm asking you to do. Troy's Bob Tea store closed down 3 months ago.
Oh, really? I knew it. I knew that he would go business. But it's none of my business anymore. I'm divorced, and you said it yourself that you're worthless to me.
Oh, I said that because that was just an emotional outburst.
I don't care anymore. Anyway, I'm already a stranger to... You're on your own now.
With that, I hung up the phone. Later on, a mutual friend of mine and Troy's family told me about what had happened to his family. Troy and his family couldn't afford to pay the mortgage on their house and eventually lost it. But because it was sold for a surprisingly low price, they were able to buy another one. In addition to that, since Troy's BC store had been losing so much money in a heavy debt, all the employees were working part-time jobs to pay off their bills. Meanwhile, I have been promoted and my salary has increased. Now, I spend my money on myself to have a peaceful and happy life.
From the beginning, Troy was such a husband, wasn't he? And to that, his sister Catherine and their mother Jennifer are the worst human beings on earth. I think Cynthia did well to endure with such a crazy family. I'm very glad that Troy destroyed a tea store in no time. As Cynthia advised him, Troy should have had some experience in the food service industry before starting his own business. Anyway, I'm very relieved because I'm experiencing it now. I hope that Cynthia will continue to live a happy, peaceful life on her own.
Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel and like button. See you in the next video.